Hamish, it seemed to me that in the beginning part of Doug Ford's premiership, he faced a lot of criticism from the media. There were a lot of protests. There was a lot of anger at sort of another conservative government, and they were sort of making it out to be this really boogeyman that was going to like cut all our services and get rid of all these unions. That didn't happen, and it seems that that kind of criticism has really gone away. That the sort of centrist sort of base of the party and base of the province is actually pretty happy with Ford and the way that he managed things. The sort of most the biggest criticism that I see comes from the political right, people who are very unhappy with the lockdowns, people who didn't like the fact that Doug Ford wouldn't engage in some of the culture issues. Like, he was very quick to denounce the truckers. He didn't provide any support or any compassion, any empathy, any understanding of them. We saw this really very ideologically left-wing CRT, critical race theory, proposal coming from the Department of Education, really pushing the sort of worst of the woke ideology. Do you think that Ford faces the risk of sort of losing the base of the Conservative Party and sort of not being able to motivate his conservative base to show up for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always a concern when you're in government. You have to make compromises. I think his approach to that is going to be to raise the threat of the Liberals and the NDP, and he's going to say to these voters, you might not be enthusiastic about every choice that I made, but these guys are going to be a whole lot worse. And the point you made about Del Duca talking about mandatory vaccines for all school-age kids. Well, anybody who thinks that the vaccine mandates have gone too far, Doug Ford simply has to say, "I'm not for that. That is too far for me." It's that Del Duca wants to do that. And what are people going to do? They're going to, vote for They're going to vote for. They'll rather see Ford in power than Del Duca. I think it is. And the other interesting thing that's happened is that there's a whole bunch of these sort of other small splinter parties on the right. There's a bunch of MPPs that have left his caucus for a variety of reasons. Some of them related to this, and some of them have started new parties. There's, I believe, the True Blue Party that Carrie Helios has started. There's a sort of a provincial version of the PPC, but because they've all splintered and there's multiple of these parties, there isn't a single focus for that feeling. There's no leader who can get into the debate. If all those MPPs had sort of joined together and said, we're all together in one caucus and we're running with one party that's going to have 120 candidates on a anti-vaccine mandate platform, they can make the case, well, we've got a couple of them MPPs, or 3 or 4 MPPs, and therefore we should have our leader in the debate. And they could really have been there to perhaps siphon off some of that support. But I think with this splintered environment, we've got 2 or 3 of these little parties plus some independents. There's no singular focus for that sentiment, and Ford's the big winner because of that.